Hello, good evening, and welcome to Thrall of Darkness, Lufenia. This is the Xande LC fight, primarily against the two fire dogs, but we're starting off with these Ochus here, who are kind of a trash phase. I think they're mostly in to allow Xande some time to ramp up, being the original featured character for this event. His overhead stacks, his EX stacks. He likes a little bit of space to get his kit up and running. But I've not brought Xande here, I've brought the other featured character, I've brought Zell, which is slightly breaking my rule of generally not doing synergy for these videos. I like to do the TCC Extreme style, so you won't be seeing a friend unit, and you won't be seeing a burst. But I really hate this fight. It's very restrictive in certain ways, which we'll get onto in the next phase. But I thought, yeah, screw it, I'm not going to bother. And Zell's a lot of fun to play. Actually, it's nice to shake things up a bit and show off a character in an event they're, actually supposed to be used in. And they've done a really good job with his rework here. All his skills feel really fun to press, and he does a ton of damage. Now, I saved an LD in Barret specifically for the start of this. Now, these guys are going to get their orbs, which is one of the things that makes them very annoying. The orb is maximum of 10, and +1 on dark damage or on break. So that's really tricky to deal with for a couple of reasons. One is there are very few options for dark damage in the game. The only enchanter is Xande, who, if I'm going to do no synergy, would not be an option. And you can't really bring a team where every character happens to do dark damage. It just wouldn't be a very good team. You've got very few options. Golbez, Dark Knight Cecil, Leon, Shantoto. I can't think of anyone else who has consistent dark damage like they do. So, yeah, that's kind of out. The other option would be to use Rebreak, because you can't break enough. And Rebreak works. You've got Aranea, she'd be very good here. You've got Null. I don't really like Aranea much, and Null can only AoE Rebreak on his LD, so not a lot of uses. The saving grace, though, is that you can see the orb's gone to 0, but at 79%, they actually lose the orb until 60, so you get a brief reprieve. Again, that's why I saved that Barret LD, to just push them down to this part of the fight as quickly as possible. Some other tricky things they do, they put shields up, guaranteed at this particular threshold, nowhere else. But they usually do it after they do their particularly nasty flamethrower attack. That's a bravery and HP combo, and they alternate who does it usually, but you'll generally get one on each round of enemy turns. It does a lot of damage, you need some sort of mitigation or it's gonna blow you up. I've actually got a lot of history with this boss though. Funnily enough, I started playing this game again at the original Xande launch, so it was against these fire dogs. This is my first ever Lufenia I did. And, it's a more problematic event now, especially now that I'm not bringing Xande. But it's fun to see them in a different light, to see them in a time where I've got a much more expansive roster, I've got different ways of dealing with it. For instance, I had no tanks. I had no real ways of dealing with Flamethrower. I think I used Beatrix. I think that was how I got past it. It was tricky. But now I have Agrias, who is just fantastic at locking enemies out. I'm using her a hell of a lot. Really fun. I did actually have a plan for a TCC Extreme style team for this. I was planning on bringing Golbez, Yuna, Cypher, I want to say. Something along those lines. But the idea was I would run it with calls that inflicted 0 iBRV. So you do that with what's his name? Waka Call, his LD, but you have to reset to get the right one. You can see that in actually my Reno LC clear if you want to see how that works. But also Vincent Call and Edward. But unfortunately, when they put their shields up, which is guaranteed at that 79% threshold, it scales off iBRV, and if their iBRV is 0, they don't get the shields, and you can't break them out of that state, in which they take reduced damage. And it's a really bad time. It kind of throws out using 0 iBRV, which would be one of the most consistent ways of not letting them get turns, while also dealing with the orb without dark damage. So I think as soon as I found that didn't really work, I suppose you could save it till after 80%, but then you need to get through the first orb wave, and it sounded like a headache. I thought, nah, not going to bother. So you saw I used Diabolos, not because I'm doing a ton of elemental damage, just a nice way of ticking the orb up a bit. Because, of course, it gives you dark damage. I know Type Zoe was trying out a strategy with Zero Max Brave, doing something with Serra and whichever other characters help out with that. Arciella, I want to say. Never found out if she completed that or not. That might have worked quite well, actually. Aside from that, there's not a whole lot to say about this team. I'm mostly locking them out with Agrias, doing big damage and maintaining the orb with Zell. I used Xande LDCA, by the way, on Barret, just to enchant with dark damage, so I'm doing double synergy here, really. And Barret, I'll be honest, I didn't bring him because he's good here. I brought him because I blued him by mistake. I was trying to realize him, I used the book, and then I went to full autopilot mode and blued him. And I've been trying to use him wherever I can. It's been one of the biggest copes in my Dissidia career. He is not good. At the very least, Agrias helps his LD hit really, really hard, just because she upgrades all those brave gains he gets. Zell also gets brave gains after his skills, which makes him do a lot more damage with Agrias on the team. Kind of nice to see. I actually ran Agrias, Barret, and Yuna for Transcendence 4 Reckoning, the middle stage. And I'm pretty sure I got, with Yuna BT up and with Agrias boosting those brave gains, I think I saw a 1.8 million across both enemies. LD off Barret with a launch. It was really, really nice to see. It's the most damage I've ever done in this game. But it looks like we're wrapping up to the end of this fight, so thank you very much for watching. I'll be releasing the Act 4, Chapter 4, Part 2 fights, the Vivi one, relatively soon, so do look forward to that. But until then, have a great night, and catch you later.